Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Force of the Whills podcast. I'm Craig Lance.
Hey guys, I'm Nick. Welcome back to the episode.
This episode, I think we're going to talk about The Mandalorian, something else that came out at Star Wars Celebration. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, from what I've seen so far, we got about a 3-minute and 15-minute, not really trailer, but kind of a back behind the scenes kind of look at it, and I think it looks amazing right now. I think this might be the thing I'm most excited for in the future of Star Wars right now.
Yeah, I mean, it looked really good. So what they did is they showed kind of some behind-the-scenes making of. They're using some models, things like that, to give us kind of an old-school Star Wars feel. And then they showed us actually like a 4 or 5 minute scene.
Yeah,
there. Yeah, it was really impressive.
It was. The sets looked like, they were going to go back to the original trilogy. It looked very, very, kind of giving us some fan service from the original trilogy. It's supposed to happen, I think, right after episode 6, right?
Yeah, they said 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Gotcha.
So in that time frame that we haven't really explored, except for maybe in old Legends, but not in the new canon. There's nothing in that time frame. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Some of the things from it, in kind of the making of, before they got to the scene, they showed some kind of, I'd almost call it a trailer because it was just some scenes of stuff that happened. One of them was an IG-88 type robot or droid that was spinning and blasting, and as he spun in circles, that was pretty impressive. Yeah. There was a flame-throwing, new-looking stormtrooper that I hadn't seen before that had red painted on his mask.
And they had the stormtroopers from Battle of Endor, too. They had them with their speeders, so that was kind of a callback from Return of the Jedi. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, very cool. So then they kind of talked about it. They showed how they made these models in this guy's garage, and they didn't have enough stormtroopers at one point. So they actually went and got the local chapter of the 501st to come down and be extra stormtroopers.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought awesome. That was kind of cool. So, the local chapter, wherever they were filming at, they got to actually be in a Star Wars show. So. Yeah,
that's awesome. Let's talk about real quick about who's over it right now. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Happy.
Yeah, happy.
Happy from Avengers and Iron Man.
Yeah, he's actually, Jon Favreau was the director of Iron Man, the first Iron Man, so he seems to know how to get a franchise going, because that was one of the best. A lot of people didn't even know who Iron Man was till his movie came out. So.
Yeah, certainly people that aren't in the comic book world, probably. Some behind-the-scenes stuff. Nick and I actually know each other from the local comic book store.
Yep.
I do a podcast called Southern Fright Geekery as well as this one, which is a comic book based podcast. Even a lot of people that are in the comic book world were like, why the heck are they starting with Iron Man of all the characters? Hey, it worked out. Favreau seems to know what he's doing when he's doing these things. One thing that he said, that I guess he had this idea to make a Boba Fett television show, and he sat down on Christmas Day and wrote a script and just kept pitching it till they finally accepted. Those of you that don't know, Dave Filoni, I would call him like George Lucas's protege.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody that knows more about Star Wars and what's going on in current canon throughout the history of Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, he was the one leading the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think, to me, I kind of wish he was over Lucasfilm right now. I think he has more invested into the Star Wars universe and wants the stories of Star Wars to be top priority. So I think the Mandalorian is going to be great, and he's going to do a really good job with it.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, I don't have anything personally against Kathleen Kennedy like some people do.
Yeah, that's where me and you kind of differ too, because I don't have anything against her personally. I just think she puts maybe agendas and stuff before the actual story of Star Wars. I'm not convinced that she is just a huge Star Wars fan in general, and I think she just took it because she wanted to push her ideology or agenda or political views or whatever.
George Lucas handpicked her to take over Lucasfilm, so there's that. But she, to me, kind of seems like it's all about making money instead of having this big, overarching, cohesive story. Now, having said that, I'm in a different place with the new movies than you are. I felt like Solo, to me, was the only one that really was just meh. It's not poor, but it's not great. So, that's where we differ a little bit. But I'm with you. I would love to see Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I just think he has more, like I said, more invested. I think he knows as much about Star Wars as somebody besides George Lucas could know about it. I think he is just up to date with everything, has a plan or a view that he would like it to go. Because in Rebels, some people like it, some people thought it was okay, but there was a few of the most iconic scenes in Rebels in the whole Star Wars universe with the Obi-Wan Darth Maul scene. Vader and Ahsoka was beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that in the Rebels cartoon that was epic for Star Wars universe. I would say more than the 2 saga movies that came out right now.
Well, I mean, that's a debatable thing, but I certainly agree that last 2 episodes of season 2 of Rebels are absolutely what Star Wars is meant to be, which is that it's Ahsoka fighting Vader, and it's Maul fighting Kanan and Ezra. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. It's some of the best Star Wars you've ever seen. And then, like you said, it was kind of funny because this is spoilers for a television show that's been done for a couple of years now. But
if you're listening to the show, if you haven't seen Rebels yet, go watch it. It's really good. It expands the universe too. It's not just its isolated thing. It has stuff that will carry on into the Star Wars universe. So I would, even if you're not a big animated person, but if you love Star Wars, I would definitely watch it because you'll get a lot out of it.
Well, I know a lot of people really love the Clone Wars, the cartoon. Guy that did Samurai Jack, his stuff is no longer part of the canon, but all the other Clone Wars cartoon is. So basically everything that takes place from Attack of the Clones through Revenge of the Sith is where that takes place. And you really should watch that as well. It shows Anakin as a hero, which is something you don't really see in the movies. But to me, it changes Revenge of the Sith quite a bit. And then you get to Rebels and it ties back in. So now you have this guy that knows canon as well as anybody. And he's producing and show running this with Jon Favreau, who's directing them, or at least directing the first episode, and I think is writing most of the episodes. Yeah. Because I think they're going to have different directors on every.
Yeah, I think they said they're going to have 6 different directors. One's going to be Dallas Howard. I mean, she was good in Jurassic Park. I don't know what she's done in the director chair, but directing on a TV show is a little bit different than directing in a movie because you have more than one, and they kind of have a showrunner that goes and gives you really what they want the show to be about. So I think the showrunner is more important than the directors. And then you got Taika Waititi that done the latest Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
So he's going to be directing one of the episodes. That's going to be probably a unique episode.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. To me, this show looks like, I think we talked about you haven't seen Firefly yet, but for those of you that have watched Serenity and Firefly, this reminds me of Star Wars set in that kind of universe. It's very Western looking. It has a very Star Wars A New Hope feel, where it's dirty, it's not clean. This takes place, as we talked about earlier, right 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So you have a group of people that are very not happy with the New Republic, which you never really hear about that, but there are some people that were like, hey, when the Empire was here, things ran smoothly. Yeah,
and that's not a part of the Empire or the First Order too, so they're kind of like they have their own look at it without being in the Republic or in the Empire or First Order, whichever one you want to call it. So they're kind of outside the lines of both parties,
Yeah, for sure. They're people trying to make a living. And the galaxy, the universe, it ran more efficiently, in their opinion, under the Empire. Yeah. So they made more money, and now you have the New Republic that's kind of, based in well, it's not kind of, it's based in democracy. And so sometimes it takes a little bit longer for things to happen because it's got to go through channels, whereas in an empire or a dictatorship, one person's making all the calls. Yeah. So
I'm kind of hoping it might have a kind of mafia outlook on it. Maybe they're their own mafia type. That'd be kind of neat to see in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, which kind of leads to the scene that they showed us. So you have the Mandalorian. He walks in and he sits down and he's talking to Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed for Rocky fans, and
who seemed to be excited on the panel. If you watch the Mandalorian panel, he seemed really excited to be part of the Star Wars universe now.
Yeah, for sure. He goes down and he sits down and he's asking for a bounty, and I forget. I don't have their names all down yet, guys. So
his name is gonna be Grief Karga, I think.
Grief Karga. Yep. Okay, so Grief Karga, who's he's running this bounty hunter guild, basically, or mercenary / bounty hunter guild. And the Mandalorian comes in and he's looking for a chit. He's looking for a job, and he says, "Well, just give them all to me." Carl Weathers' character, he says, "I can't do that. I've got a guild. And he said, "Well, give me the best one you have." So he gives him one that he has to actually go meet face to face with the guy to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, that's not what I do." And he says, "Do you want the chit or not?" And so he takes it, of course, and he goes to wherever I don't know if it's the same planet or different. I guess we'll find out when the show starts. Yeah. But he goes and he meets with the guy, and he walks in, and the first thing you notice when the door opens is 5 or 6 stormtroopers standing around. Now, they're probably either stormtroopers that were stormtroopers during the Empire, and they're no longer stormtroopers, or they could be mercenaries that have purchased stormtrooper armor. We don't really know that yet. And they start having their conversation. Somebody else walks in. All the stormtroopers get antsy. Everybody pulls their guns on each other. It's a pretty awesome scene. You should definitely check that out, because that was the scene where I was like, yeah, I'm really going to dig this. I don't know if you caught this, but the guy that he meets that's going to hire him offers to pay him in Beskar.
Oh, no, I didn't
which
see
is
that.
a metal. He hands him that piece of metal, and he says there's lots more where this come from. Well, Beskar is the metal that they use to make Mandalorian armor. Yeah. So that's why that's an important thing for him. So he's going to get paid, apparently, in Mandalorian armor metal. So I just, personally, I felt like this is a whole lot of fun. It looks like everything that I want in Star Wars. I know you said the same thing.
It looks really good. Another thing that they said, they're going to have kind of a samurai feel to it. I think that's also a unique look at going towards Star Wars universe, having kind of a code, outside of Jedi or Sith, just other people having codes and trying to make it through the universe without special abilities. There's going to have some kind of fight with Force users. The show's about them, so they're going to have to find ways to beat the Force users without having any of the abilities. So I think with that samurai look on it, it could be really neat.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of battles in Rebels and in Clone Wars where you had the Mandalorians involved with Force users and things of that nature. So there is a precedent set up for them fighting Force users on both sides. They sometimes fought the Jedi and sometimes they fought the Sith.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it live action yet, I guess is what I would like to see. That would be neat.
Yeah, all I was saying is that there's a precedence for them being able to fight them, to be able to hold their own. You're absolutely right that we haven't seen any of this live action before. Yeah. The only Mandalorians we've ever seen, technically, is Jango Fett, and Boba Fett's a clone of him. So, I mean, that would be like saying that all the clone troopers were Mandalorians. Right. So. But I would say that Boba Fett was probably raised by the Mandalorian code since he was raised by Jango. But, or at least, till he was 6 years old. So yeah, you've got this very Western feel. You've got some samurai-like code going on. It almost looks to me like they're on Tatooine, but it could be Jakku or another desert planet. But it looks very similar to that.
It'd be neat, but it might just be a planet kind of showing you that they're going to go. It's going to look like the original trilogy. It could be any planet. So
I'm kind of hoping that if it's on one of these obviously it's going to be on one of the outlier worlds, not part of the core worlds. I'm hoping that you see some of the gangster stuff going on, like you said, mafia stuff. I think that would be a great thing to add to this. Maybe some Hutts.
Yeah, they're a rumor that there's going to be a Hutt in episode 9, so maybe we'll get a glimpse of him or her in the Mandalorian also.
No, it's not Jabba.
No, we know it's not Jabba
yet. He's dead at this point.
I want to say it was he was a relative of Jabba's, though.
The movie for Rebels, the actual movie that was released at the theater, they went and saved Jabba's child. Ahsoka and Anakin did. So
Clone Wars, not Rebels.
Or Clone Wars, I mean, I'm sorry. They go and they save Jabba's son. He maybe took over his dad's deal or whatever. So that's a likely possibility. Anything's really possible. They can show us whatever they want. And they've said straight up that this is made for both, the younger audience and the older audience. That it's for everybody. It's geared towards everyone, where the saga films tend to be geared a little bit towards, I would say preteens, teenagers. I mean, everybody can enjoy them, of course, but they're always geared as serialized.
Yeah, younger generation. They're trying to get younger generations into Star Wars so they can keep making them.
And that's what, but that's what Star Wars has always been from the beginning. Yes, everybody loves Star Wars, but George Lucas said it when he made the original trilogy. This is for me when I was a kid. This is what I wanted to see. Yeah. And then during the prequels, he said it too. He's like, you can keep complaining all you want, but I didn't make this for the original trilogy fans. I made this for the kids of today, which is fine. Stick to that vision because it works. It brings in new generation after new generation. But to have something like this that is geared towards the entire fan base, I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the actors that they've already got casted too. Sure. I mean, I think A-list especially for television shows, pretty good list of actors. Like you already mentioned, we have Carl Weathers, Pedro Pascal. Most people know him from Game of Thrones. Great actor. I think he'll perfect for the Mandalorian if they're going to go with like a samurai kind of Western type. Everything he's acted in, he's been a little gritty. Good actor. You got Gina Carano.
We don't really know what her character is yet, right?
Yeah. Her name is Cara Dune. We just think she's part of, like you said, part of that group.
Yeah, she's probably either another bounty hunter or some sort of the criminal underground or something of that nature. Probably a lovable scoundrel.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, she's not bad to look at either, so, You also got Nick Nolte. Some of y'all might know he's got the real raspy voice.
Nick Nolte, my generation for sure knows Nick Nolte, but it's Nick Nolte. Go watch 48 Hours if you don't know who Nick Nolte is.
Yeah, really good actor.
Yeah. Like you said, they've got some top-notch directors. They've got some top-notch acting.
I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be really good, to be honest with you.
So you want to move on and talk about some other things that happened?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We've been talking about Clone Wars and all of that. They did hit on the Clone Wars season 6, season 7, whichever. It's the newest season. It's going to be, I think, 6 or 9 episodes. And really surprised they're bringing Ahsoka back into it because I thought her story was done for the Clone Wars. So.
Surprised but happy. That's another thing that Dave Filoni did really good. Like at first, nobody really liked Ahsoka, but by the end of her run, she was beloved by almost everybody. Really good character development.
I mean, she is one of my favorites out of all of the Star Wars saga. Yeah. I want Ahsoka to have a solo movie.
Oh, that'd be nice, yeah.
Because where Rebels ended, you can have a movie with her and Ezra and Sabine and Jason. Have a nice little movie that takes place after the events of Return of the Jedi. And anything else come out of Celebration that you
the video game. I know we touched on it a little bit in the last episode, but I know we only got a trailer for it. We didn't get much gameplay, but I think it's Respawn is who's making the game. Respawn. And they did Titanfall 1 and 2, and Titanfall, both Titanfalls are very good. Now, you didn't get any storyline in Titanfall 1, and you got a little bit in Titanfall 2, but it kind of went with the online play, so it wasn't really a good storyline per se, but I mean, their gameplay is amazing, and the storyline looked good in the trailer, so we know we got a decent storyline.
Yeah, so the story, I think, is going to be heavy in this video game. I think you're going to have a lot of story, and they promised it's not just a button masher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll take them for their word for it, but I want to be able to use force powers and all of that,
Yeah.
I think sometimes they fail when they make these Star Wars video games. It was my biggest issue with Star Wars Galaxies. I don't know if you ever played that game or not. But it was an online MMORPG. It was great. It was one of the best online MMORPGs that I've ever played. Mm-hmm. The problem with it was you set it after the events of Star Wars and before Empire Strikes Back. And you had people play Star Wars. They want to be a Jedi. They want to wield the lightsaber. I mean, that's what you want to be a Jedi.
Yeah, my favorite Star Wars game is Jedi Academy. Back on, I think it was the regular Xbox is when it came. What console it came out on? It was real Jedi heavy. I mean, it was one of the best games that I've ever played.
And mine are probably the old Knights of the Republic games.
Yeah,
because you get that very heavy. You get into Sith mythology. You get into
Oh yeah, that's up there for me. But as far as just like getting to play as a Jedi, I really do like Jedi Academy over Knights of the Republic. In my opinion, I know I'm probably going to get talked bad about for that, but
I mean, everybody's got their. It's what games suit you, or what style suits you. So yeah, you've got the Mandalorian, which just looks fantastic. You've got season 7, I think it is, of Clone Wars, which looks fantastic too.
Yep.
Then you've got the video game. There's a virtual reality video game coming out, which I've been debating buying virtual reality, but now I guess I'm going to be buying virtual reality.
I think it's already out. I know they have one virtual reality game already out.
Yeah, this is the Vader one.
The Vader one? Okay, cool.
This is a new one. To learn from Vader, you're kind of his it's a Padawan or whatever it would be for a Sith apprentice, I guess. You can just get in there and duel. I guess the story is only about 40 minutes long total for the entire story. So it's not meant to be a game that you just play for. But it does have like the lightsaber dueling room and stuff like that.
That's
where you
cool.
can just get in there and duel with lightsabers and stuff. So, which I think is a kind of a cool aspect of it, because it's kind of what you want to do, right? You want to get a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that's why you
around in the.
That's why you play. You want to get lost in the world, the Star Wars universe. Take a break from reality and swing some lightsabers if you want to. That's the best part
for sure. So, what else in the Mandalorian really stuck out for you? Was there?
We didn't get to see a whole lot. I mean, like I said, Jon Favreau is my number one thing. Yeah, number one draw to it, because he's done so many good things in directing and acting. Like I said, the character list of the show is A plus. It looks like they're going back to the original trilogy with the set scenes and all that. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun in The Mandalorian.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you happen to catch the barbecued Salacious Crumb?
I did not.
Yeah. So when he's walking through the marketplace area, there's Salacious Crumb. You remember Salacious Crumb?
From Solo.
Yeah. Well, no, Salacious Crumb's the little creature that sat on Jabba's leg.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sat on his lap.
Yeah, the little something monkey, lizard monkey or something like that, I think is their species. So he's walking through and you see one on a stick that's been
no, I didn't notice that.
Barbecued. And then as you walk by, there's one in a cage sitting back waiting to be barbecued.
So
wow. It was kind of cool. Little things like that, which is where they can give you some fan service without it being heavy-handed and this sort of thing. I love the tone of it. Everything I saw in this just completely sold me. So let us know in the comment sections of however you're listening to this, your thoughts on.
Yeah, we'd love to respond to some comments. And if you disagree with us, let us know. And we'll try to get back with you and chat on the comment section with you and just talk and see what you like or dislike about certain aspects of either like this episode's about The Mandalorian, but last episode was about the trailer of episode 9. We'd love to interact with our fans. So if you have any comments, don't be hesitant to put them down in the section.
Are really getting ready to start pushing the Galaxy's Edge, which is the theme park in both Disneyland and at Disney World in Florida.
Yeah, me and my son were talking about that. We're trying to convince my wife, his mom, to go to Disney World next year. But I'm kind of afraid to go that quick after it opens, because there's going to be long lines, but it's going to be so epic to see and just be lost in that. Everything is going to be in the Star Wars universe. Even when you go order something to drink, they're probably going to have like blue milk on the menu and stuff. So you're just going to be in that world and you're going to get lost in it and love it. But there's just going to be so many people. I don't know if we're going to go right when it opens or the year after it opens. What about you?
My wife and I are talking about trying to go maybe in October of this year.
You're gonna go quick. Ooh.
Well, we're gonna try. It'll be once school's in and kids are at school, so maybe go during the middle of the week where it's not quite as busy.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Harry Potter world?
No, I haven't been to the Harry Potter world. I've been to Disney World and Universal, but.
So in Universal, they now have the Harry Potter world, and it's very similar. It's the same thing. You order food that's replicated from the books, drinks replicated from the books. Okay, I didn't know that. You go buy wands, that sort of thing. And it's pretty amazingly done. Now, of course, that's Universal Studios. And they're no slouch on money, but they're also not Disney. Disney, they're talking about one of these experiences you do it's like a 20-minute experience to go through this thing, trying to escape or something, and it depends on which choices you make, what happens. So,
yeah, I
mean, very interactive and very impressive looking at this point so far.
Yeah, I have no doubt they're going to have some groundbreaking new technology and stuff. Trust me, I'm going to go as soon as we get the chance to, but I'm just worried about the lines and it's going to be crowded.
It's going to be crazy whenever you go. And the next Star Wars Celebration is going to be in Anaheim. That's for a reason. It's because that's where Disneyland is. Mm-hmm. So I thought about, well, maybe I could just bundle it. But you know how many people are thinking that same exact thing? I don't think that's one I want to try and go to. I may try and get out there for Star Wars Celebration, but I don't think I'm going to try and go to the Galaxy's Edge at the same time. I think that's going to wrap up this episode. So it's a little bit shorter than last week's episode, but that's okay. Some of these are going to be longer than others, and some are going to be shorter than others. And we're going to try and keep it between the half hour and an hour mark for podcast listeners. That seems to be where people really enjoy their podcasts. So we're going to try and stay in that range. Our goal was to talk about Mandalorian and the things that happened in that. It probably would have been a little easier if we had a trailer that we could break down, but having one scene, it's a little bit harder to break down. But the main thing is, if you haven't seen it, get out there and go see the scene that they have. You can, it's not great quality because it wasn't intended to be released to the public yet. Yeah. I would imagine it won't be long before we have a full trailer release for it. It launches in November on the Disney streaming channel, the new
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah.
And I think it's only going to be $6 or $7, and you'll get all the Star Wars content, all the new Star Wars content. So
you're going to get everything. You're going to get Star Wars, Marvel, Disney movie. You're getting it all. Yeah. And I know there was some concern over they didn't think they'd be able to get the original trilogy, but it's going to be on there too. So.
Is it? See, last time I looked, it was still up to the.
No, they announced it at the beginning of Celebration that all of the Star Wars saga will be on there. Maybe has something to do with distribution for television versus streaming, because TNT owns the television rights for Star Wars, at least for a little while, until Disney buys TNT, which is probably what will happen. Thanks for coming on this adventure with us. We will be back next week with another episode.
May the Force be with you.